tune in to me, you watching The Dribble by Gully TV. I got a very special guest in the building tonight. I think you're the first Coney Island MC I ever had. You might be the first Coney Island talent I've had, period. Go ahead and introduce yourself, G.
Y'all go by the name D. Chamberz, 6'2", no time for the small talk. Shout out to my Kings of Warriors, Queens of Warriors. Y'all know I'm Morris Chestnut of this rap thing. That's what I do out here, man. Mobile.
How you been?
Everything's a blessing, one day at a time, man.
Right. When I first, to my recollection, when I first encountered you or seen you online, was you moving with a body of battle rappers?
I'll be honest with you, the first time I knew of you through Liaison.
Okay.
And we had Maya's family in Coney Island first and foremost before anything. It was Stone Cold Hustlers, and it was Maya's family, and Liaison was like the head of the situation. He had more of a situation with THRU.
Right.
And we was in Coney Island and Smack You and Come Up DVDs, IAN. They used to come to Coney Island. So we had built our own reputation before. So what happened was in 07, I did a little short bit, I did a year. You know, I went up top. So in between that, Liaison was holding it down on Smack. Sub-Zero, they was in the hood. But when I came home on top of 08, I always kept that relationship with Smack to where it was like a phone call. So it was a phone call when I came home, just seeing what was going on. So we was already doing music, so me and Liaison linked back up. And then Norbs was managing Liaison at the time and was like, yo, we should, you know, work with Math too, because I met Math on 2 different occasions. I met him when I went to an event with Sycamore and Math was performing whenever. I told him I just came home, I was on parole, whatever. And we came to the studio, it was my session, I paid for it. The first song was called More Shots. It was me and Reddy Rock and Liaison at first, but my man Reddy Rock moved to Atlanta. So when he moved to Atlanta, we just put Math there on the song. And that was my first time being able to get on the DVD for like being an artist with my music. And then after that, you know, Math was coming to Coney Island. We were showing them love out there. And somehow, like, you know, I think right at that time, that was just before the T-Rex beef and stuff like that. So what happened was, like management stuff, everybody was just doing music and we was moving as a unit. I pulled Cortez to the meeting that we had. Yeah. And because Cortez was doing his own thing with Murder Ave Gang. Right. And Math had, you know, people he was working with, and we just all came together.
That's why it looked like you were moving in a body of battle rappers. Okay.
Right. Because we was all rappers first. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I always was a part of the culture because of Smack, because of Beasley. You know, I always was like the understudy of the business with Beasley. That's why I was always on stage. I was this. Yeah. I always was a part of the marketing. I was a lot of the things behind the scenes. But music is what brought us together. We thought it was a dope idea. Before we was the Brooklyn Union, and then we called it NYB. It was for New York Bullies, but it stood for Now You Believe. Okay. The people gave us the bullies. Okay. Then I brought Hands On later on, and Cortez brought Hollow. And that's how we all came together.
Right. All right. That's why it just seemed like it was a battle.
Because Hollow was on grind time. You know, Cortez knew Hollow more than all of us. Right. And me, it was like me, Hands, and Liaison. That's why you see us on the Smack DVD. We first was to do the cypher. What people don't know is that whole cypher idea on the first battle rap DVD on the URL, that was my idea because Smack needed time in between all the battles.
That's what it was. When Smack left the DVDs and started filming, he had them ciphers at the beginning of the battle.
Right.
That's where I knew it was some battle rap shit.
Yeah, that was my idea because at that time it was like, this is when you could just step on the stage with one foot, right? Yeah. So at this time, like, yo, Smack, we should have ciphers, like, whatever. He was like, Chamberz, what you gonna do? I said, I'm gonna hit Liaison and then we gonna get Hands. He didn't know who Hands was. I said, yo, trust me, he's gonna get busy. Yeah. And then that was Hands' introduction. Like, that was Liaison, that was mine as well. Right. And then you see like Head Ice, Frenchie, and then they was just pairing it off. Yeah,
and Frenchie from Queens.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So once everybody was getting paired off, that was like the interlude before these guys came out to go battle.
All right. How long, in totality, how long you been an MC? Was you rapping before you went up north?
You know what the problem was? I was always the hustler. I always had best of both worlds. I ain't gonna act like I'm the super duper street villain 24/7.
Yeah.
I was always the hustler. You know what I'm saying? I always knew how to get money, keep a car, and that was my problem. I always used to just focus on the money in the beginning. So when I was in South Carolina, that's when like things transitioned. A lot of people be forgetting that part of my story.
Mm-hmm.
So when I didn't get to go to all the basketball schools and stuff that was in New York, I went through some. My man Mario got stabbed, my mom's and everybody else. And then I wound up in South Carolina and learning more stuff because I was like in Charleston, Armandor, 10 Mile. I thought I was gonna play the night games. We was doing that.
Yeah.
Went to Wandor High School. There was like the credit tape matching.
Yeah.
And then it was just the streets from that point.
Right.
So I came back to New York with that Southern hustle. Like I need to get this prioritized. And me doing music in between all of that, I was letting everybody else just lead the way. But I always was like writing, planning. I was always the one with the car. So I'm gonna be at the event. So over the years, I just became more confident and focusing on what I was doing. And one song stick. I actually went through something in my neighborhood, and I just made a record about it, and it was just like, yo, Chamberz can rap.
Right.
It was like that.
Conventionally, when people think of Coney Island, they think about basketball, and I'm glad you interjected that. Give me some history. Give my viewers some history, because I know.
So if people don't know about Coney Island, first and foremost, they know Stephon Marbury, Lance Stevenson, Sebastian Telfair. But what they keep forgetting is Isaiah Whitehead, Norman Richardson, 530, Tick Tick Boom, even Tiny. It's like, it's a whole legacy, even Juju. It was people before me that legacy is there, even like, but what I see growing up was Stephon Marbury, Bashi, and Lance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Shout out to Norman Richardson, and even D-Flight, cannot forget him.
Right.
And these guys was just like, D-Flight was like, that thing is just that more success came from the people that went pro.
Yeah. Okay.
That's just for us basketball.
I started to develop a heavy reputation for guards. What you got to say about that?
I think they changed the game. NBA changed entirely because of the guards. Even the centers got to shoot. Even the centers got to have a handle.
Yeah.
I just think what happened is it just, you know, back in the days, like, we don't see like a Bugsy, like that short of people. The average point guard today is like what, 6'6",
6'5" at least.
6'5", 6'6". The game has changed to where power forwards have to dribble, power forwards may have to shoot if they're not one thing. You know what I mean? That's what I see. I think guards definitely changed the game.
How much of the movie He Got Game was filmed in Coney Island?
All of it.
All of it?
Majority of it. And from what I hear from you know, shout out to the people like Slice. When you hear the story as you get older, you don't see it when you're young and you're just watching it. But when you play it back, you can see that movie really was for Steph. It was supposed to be his family involved in that film. I don't know why Steph didn't do the movie, but it's still symbolic. It's like they just did it without Steph. That's what it looks like to me.
He Got Game was
Ray Allen was supposed to be Steph.
Playing
Stephon
Marbury's biopic, so
right,
to speak.
Right.
Is that right?
That was the full understanding, because even like the guy that's driving, the most important part of that whole movie to me is like seeing that guy that was driving down the avenue. He's like, you see these guys right here? You see these guys right here? That's Slice. He from the hood. Right. He's in the hood. In fact, he got like Bro Day coming up. He do where you bring the whole hood out. You know, there's a lot of legends that passed away. And like some people think of it a crime, they just automatically say Moloch, but it's a lot of people that passed away that had a great influence on the neighborhood. So Slice been carrying Bro Day name, and that movie, that you know, Stephon Marbury.
Right. It's funny that you mentioned Moloch. I was gonna ask you about that part of Coney Island's history. How much of your childhood was spent around that generation of hustle?
Even though I was young, and most people, what I do remember is the stories, but what I remember seeing was Kaiser Park being packed from one end to another. And they said this guy did this from the hood with street money and made everybody from the street get together to do this.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, he was killed. So like after he was killed, that's when you hear the stories. You know, I talked to his brother Shah, his brother Allen. There's people that really could tell that story, but they choose not to be on camera because they're from that era where it's still stuff that they just choose not to talk about.
Right. Why does Coney Island have such a reputation for violence and shit like that?
Honestly, I think nobody wants to admit it. Some foul way, something always happened to other people. It is from a Coney Island dude.
Yeah.
All walks of life, all drama. But it's crazy because like every year these guys got to come to Coney Island. You know, some of these guys at Coney Island like pirates. Yeah. Everybody wants the treasure. Everybody wants to move around and do what they do. But if you do your history and you know the streets, what your favorite rapper, even artists from back in the days, they all got a story where they got into a rumble in Coney Island. Either they got shot in Coney Island. Something happened in jail in Coney Island. And it's always that. But what people are forgetting is a lot of times when people have beef across town and all that other stupid stuff, they come to Coney Island to get dudes. Nobody be forget that part of the story.
Yeah, I was gonna mention eBay. eBay is from
Coney Island. I'm familiar with his name.
Right. He from your neighborhood?
I've heard of his name, but like I know of him and I know people that know him. So
he a little older than you.
Yeah.
Okay. Last summer, I believe I seen you moving in a body of a summer basketball league or a tournament.
Right.
Elaborate.
So what happened was after I came back from Rolling Loud, you know, I went to go check my mom's crib because my mom's still in the neighborhood, you know, in C-Rise. So when I came back, I was just looking out the window where I grew up at. And I was just looking like the basketball court was condemned over 9 years, 10 years. And I'm talking about condemned, no brim, no paint on the floor.
That's insane. Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Just kids throwing rocks, walking around with poo shiesties. And I'm like, yo, you know what? The hood don't need a gangster, they need a hero. So I'm one of the guys who talk with common sense, could speak to management, I just didn't know how to. So I had made a rant on Facebook, and somehow that's how, like, shout out to my man Mel from Silverback Football. He got a nonprofit thing that he's doing with the kids, and he's our age. He used to do music, but he just dedicated everything to football because his sons and everybody went that route. So he was like, yo, you gotta do it like this. And then once I spoke to Samantha Ross, she spoke to people that was like council members of the neighborhood. Yeah. And when they saw it, they was like, yo, you have to do this and create this. I did it in no time. Shout out to my manager, Soundbite Management, Josh. I was like, Josh, I need this. Created the EIN. Oh, you need insurance? Oh, I need this. Yo, flex. People that was before me. I didn't go to people that was younger than me. I went to people that was before me, whether you was hustling, working, whatever you did to get out of Coney Island. Yeah. Let's be a part of bringing this back. Yeah. And all the parents was loving it, and it was a fight at first because we fighting people who got old beef, drama. I felt like, you know what I'm saying, Joe Clark, like leader of me. I'm like, yo, pick the trash up, man. Yo, why you rolling dice here? Right. This kid's playing. Like, I had to deal with that for 2 to 3 years.
So they started to respect it.
Everybody do respect it, but it's, you know, it's one of those hood things, like some people just don't know when to alleviate things. Like some things like, oh, it was going to happen. That's because nobody speaks up to stop stuff. And that's how, like, a lot of negative stuff. So when you see somebody fighting for something, and then you got to remind people, these your kids on it. I moved out the hood already. Like, y'all kids is there. Yeah. My man Flex, it was like, yo, we putting money together. The people who has a name should respect that. Right. And once we got that, and also using the insurance to realize, like, yo, we're not going to win this with the hood. So once we wind up on Channel 12, after a few incidents, now, like, we have communication with the authorities and the police department. So they're like, yo, we aware of what's going on. But if you reach out to us and you have your insurance and your permits, we there. So a lot of times we was policing ourselves. That was the problem.
No doubt.
But now it's a positive thing. Kids get trophies, cash prizes going out of our pocket. Ain't nobody. We didn't get no funding. We on our 4th year. We took the best players. Shout out to Jason. His name is Sensational J. He's playing basketball. He's killing right now. He's 28. He's ranked in the state. Jacob, Josh. He's ranked in the state, and he's, you know, these kids is part of the 303 in my neighborhood. Yeah. Shout out to Josh. He does music. His name is SCBJ. You gotta look him up. And everybody that's like a part of everything that we doing, we use it as a collective. I can't say I did it by myself because I went back with an idea and everybody was with it.
Basketball saves lives.
C-Rise B-ball. Like, it's kids right now waiting for school to be over. Yeah. Like, Chamberz, we got the tournament? Yeah. But the funny thing is that these kids want money. They like, we want cash too. They don't just want the trophies.
They want a salary?
They want the cash.
For the winners.
They want cash.
Okay.
They want cash.
We got to figure out how to get a pot together, man. For
Yeah,
the winners,
they want
man.
cash.
That's required,
The kids want
man.
cash. Because I give it to the older dudes because it give them a reason to bring that allure. Because that's what brings the allure.
Yeah.
So that's what made it easier when you say, okay, yo, 1,000 on the line for 3 vs. 3, and you ain't got to put up the money.
Yeah.
Call your man.
Right.
That's what it is. So once we get the, it's not like no thing. You put your 3 with 2 subs. Come on out. You know what I mean? Get the jersey, sign up. Just be real about it. And it brought people outside of Coney Island in front of my building.
How often does Bassy and Lance and those guys come back? Do they come back around?
We see Bassy a lot more frequently. You know what I mean? And Lance, we always see like when the season's going on. You know what the talk of the town is, him versus Mike Beasley. So some people riding with Lance, some people don't think he got a shot. Like I don't know.
I thought that was so dope to
Yo, but talking and seeing how he talking, I think Lance is like sizing him up. I don't think
them
really
niggas gonna get into. I think they're gonna fight. I think they're gonna fight, man. I do, because they got reputations like a motherfucker, right? And I talked to DeMar Johnson follows me on Instagram.
Right.
A lot of NBA guys follow me on IG, right? And I be talking to these dudes in the inbox. And Skip to my Lou follow me, and I asked these guys, all of the street ball niggas follow me. I asked them niggas, who gonna win? They like, man, Beasley can score like a motherfucker, yo. They like, man, that nigga. It was said that he was giving LeBron hell in Miami. They said they used to be playing one-on-one after practice. Like a player that was down there on the team was a witness and told motherfuckers like Beasley used to be giving LeBron hell in practice and shit, right? But Lance got that nasty ass handle, man. Like,
it could go either way. It depends who have the rock the longest. But one thing, I see Beasley, right? And I tuned in more because of the talk. It's the talk of the barbershops. Everybody laughs and joke about it. Yeah. And a lot of people just don't see it. But like, it's some people that know like Lance is an animal.
He is.
I don't think nobody really sees like people be trying to start with fights with him, but you don't know he may have started the fight. But the camera trick is so real. He's aggressive. He's not the guy it's not going to be easy. 100,000,
right?
It's not going to be easy. It ain't going to be what people think.
Get tangled up, man. Like for real. They got to play defense on each other, like.
And you see how he's like he already pushes, like he's sizing them up. He's doing. He said, "Oh, I could do this." Like he's sizing them up. I'm not here to start no fights. I want to see a good game, but that Coney Island energy is just a little different. It's a little different.
Shout out to both parties, man. I think that that shit could be big, man. Having those former NBA players playing one-on-one.
I think it sets the tone. It's just like battle rap. It's just like, all right, now take away the mainstream. Come on outside. Like, you know what I mean? Bad enough, lucky enough it's not in street ball, but he said like it's inside. Yeah. So you get that little leeway to keep some knees, you know what I'm saying?
No doubt. I follow you on Instagram, and maybe like a month ago, you made a post early in the morning. You said, yo, man, don't be calling me. Niggas, they ain't been calling me. Don't call me asking me nothing about nothing.
Yeah, because like, I didn't understand where it was coming from.
I'm going to tell you where it was coming from. Doggy Diamonds did a live stream. And
shout out to Doggy Diamonds.
Shout out to Doggy. Doggy Diamonds had some very good points. Me and Doggy Diamonds, we don't always get along, but I side with what is right? And I listened to what Doggy Diamonds said, and he has some very, very good points. And I believe once he said what he said, people was looking to see what you had to say. And what basically Doggy Diamonds interjected was that he made a live stream and he was confronting Math. He was saying some things about Math Hoffa and what had happened with my expert opinion. And he said that, he's done favors for Math before Math got the popping, and he didn't.
Yeah, Doggy Diamonds definitely was
turn around
a major key.
Yeah, didn't return the favor. And he was like, what can I expect from him? Because, he had a whole platform going, and we never seen none of NYB. We never seen D. He said your name. We never seen D. Chamberz. We never seen Cortez in the barbershop. We never seen Hands. I think Hands is going through some
stage 4
health problems. Yeah, he brought all of that to the table. So what do you have to say about the situation? Me and you had a brief exchange about it in the DM, but I think what Doggy Diamond said, he was kind of like putting the obvious on blast.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think at some point our career, we all went separate directions, right? We all had love for each other, but we never knew. It was just like one of those things. Like, you know, everybody just was just going their own way drastically. I remember when Math was going through something, you know, a lot of people don't know, like, at one time he was going through something looking for his daughter and stuff like that. That was on the net. Right. That was after the Serious Jones fight. Remember, he was fighting, then he was going through the situation with this dude, Taxstone. Yeah. It was a lot. So he was, like, just, like, gathering himself up, and then he had kids in between the process, so he wasn't really doing music. Mm-hmm. And he would one time I seen him, he came out to all of my niggas video shoot when Manolo Rose was there. I didn't even know he was coming, and then he came to the Fred DeGarza video shoot I reached out to, but he wasn't like attacked. Like, I do music, and one thing people think, oh, I stepped away from battle rap. I always supported battle rap, but I realized at a point where it's like, I do music. I gotta get my stuff on radio. I'm trying to be in the clubs. I'm getting paid for what I do. And some of them thought it was a joke. They was like, yo, who's the promoter? Trappers Only is mods. Like, come on out, come see the environment. One of them came, like, they all came on separate things. So a lot of the times it was like, once like the equal support system wasn't there, it kind of like stretched us out. Whether he was too busy or everybody was picking, choosing when to be at something. And I just felt the common thing they had was battle rap. So when they was moving around to 2-on-2 and stuff like that, I wasn't there. You know what I mean? They were just, it was a time when we all made sure we was all in the same chat and we all was front line. And we may laugh about all these things, but a lot of the stuff was just trying to get ourselves right, and it made it look like we distant apart from each other. So if I'm chasing music, he's doing what he's doing, but we all one phone call away. That's what it was. But we always be like, if we had a great look, we would at least pull each other in. Mm-hmm. So when I saw them doing that with Misfit, I was like, all right, that's cool. It's only a matter of time. But then it's like time was going by. Then when I do get a call, I'm arguing with Head Ice in the damn barbershop. Yeah. So it wasn't like a real interview. So like, this is me not seeing Math after a while. You know, I don't know what's going on, you know. But I'm doing music, and I always tried to give him ideas in between time. Like, yo, you need to throw a show this way, or you need to interject this, and it just never, you know, resonated for whatever reason. I never knocked him for it or whatever, but I just know a lot of the support wasn't there, and a lot of people just decided to do what they was doing, so it just seemed like we was spaced out. But it was like, I talk to God all the time. I talk to everybody that's there all the time, you know what I mean, in the street. Like, but once you see like people who made their mind up, you're not gonna keep asking. Yeah. We're not gonna beg each other. Like, I knew 5 mics, we went through our shit, but he was up there, interviewed her twice. And I'm like, I introduced y'all. So it was a lot of stuff that was going on between that, and even me and 5 mics, we spoke like men before and after. And it wasn't even about nothing. It was just what he thought was going on. And sometimes when I'm like, yo, you watching all the people you put together work and not add you, it's like, what are you doing? Yeah, I got a whole new alliance, new team, a whole new way things work for me, but when we was all doing this in the beginning, we was all thriving together. You would think a phone call would happen. So, and a lot of the times you just stay out of this stuff, because when you not involved and you don't know, like, don't involve me now. I don't know what's going on. And I just felt like a lot of people were just hitting me to laugh at Math or whatever the situation was. And I was just like, yo, he was doing his thing. Whatever happened, that happened over there. If you want to talk to me about what I'm doing, I can tell you, because I can't tell you nothing about what's going on over there. And I still wish them the best, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Now that you see, it's been going on for some weeks now, were you shocked at how far it went in regards to every co-host from the show going and doing their own YouTube videos, their own...
Yo, listen, sometimes people would say, like, when you're dealing with 2 alpha males, like you said, it's 2 lions in the room, something, it's never gonna work. So, like, the way I see it is, like, once it's not 100% what he's doing, you're out of here. It's just what it is. I don't care how anybody want to choke it, you can get mad, whatever. But my thing is, like, if it ain't 100% that, he's not gonna be tuned into that. And then 9 times out of 10, the minute you try to pull resources while still being under that, eventually you're gonna be out of it. Yeah. You're 100%. Because shout out to Esso and Heineken, we all knew each other when they was doing True Stories Radio. before This Is 50, 576 production, Liaison introduced all of us. These are like, some people are forgetting things. Like, Liaison made that connection. And we used to just support that. So when outside of the battle and outside of the shows, Pusha K and Heineken was doing the interviews. Shout out to Pusha K. So today is Essel and Heineken. So the minute they started talking about Backfuel, of course, Math was like, oh, that's what y'all doing? Right. It was only a matter of time.
Right.
You know what I mean? That goes for anybody that was there trying to do something. That's just the way his brain works. He showed love, don't get it twisted, but if you try to do it on his time, it's not going to work.
Yeah. All right, that's that for that. Let's talk about you now. What you got going on in 2025?
You know, music, fashion, and film. You know, I got a new movie. I've been in like 6 movies right now.
You 6 movies in?
6 movies in. I'm in. Shout out to Maddie Toaster. Shout out to True Light. My first 2. I'm in Pale White Horse. That's on Tubi.
Yeah.
And I'm in Will You Marry Me with Gravy, Nia Lee, Julito from The Wire.
Oh man, you been boogieing.
Yeah.
You know what? I was supposed to be in that joint that you was in with Maddie and them.
Yeah,
They shot it in Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like what they wrote for me. I had to step away.
So right in between that, I started working with Maddie because Maddie was like, yo, Chamberz, the way, you know, because I came fresh off the web series. I was in the Brooklyn Way, I was in the Cycle, and I was in Pieces. So like the character being known for acting, it was always there. I was improv in classes. And I went, like people don't know, I went to John Dewey High School, same school as Spike Lee. So like a lot of things I was bad for, I was like, yo, damn, I didn't get to go to a ball. But look, now I'm in theater, music, arts, and it worked out. When you look at it, Angie Martinez came from Dewey, like Spike Lee's sister, Spike Lee himself, and I'm like, wow, I'm going in the same
direction.
Journal, you know, doing the. So the film stuff has definitely been like panning out. Shout out to Matty Tosa, he just shot my film. I executive produced called Him and Me. It's written by Izzy Morel, Alicia Entertainment, Money Shot Lee, and Matty Tosa. We did it. So he included me in 4 movies of his, and he shot mine.
Yeah.
So that's my first film is done. I just finished it like last month. So we're in the editing process now. And while I'm still doing the music, because you know I got records with Method Man, Benny the Butcher. You know what I'm saying? I brought Method Man to the hood of Coney Island during the pandemic while he was on power.
I remember that.
You know what I'm saying? I had the whole hood outside. Benny the Butcher, the same thing. And you know what I mean? It's just like, I think my thing is I started working with a lot of artists in the neighborhood trying to pull them up. Shout out to Takeover Game, Killer, and all of them. And you know, in between that, it put a lot of like that there's talent out there, and you got Nims out there making his noise, and everybody just doing them. Shout out to Torre as well. He on Shade 45. He from Coney Island as well.
No doubt. I've been hearing a lot about Nims. I think he probably next up on Belly TV. Shout out to him, and shout out to Maddie too. I met Maddie in a 7-Eleven in New Jersey. Like,
oh shit!
I was staying in a hotel doing some work out there, and I went into the 7-Eleven to get some.
You see what his son doing, right? St. John's.
Yeah. And shout out to THRU too. He worked on the movie I was in, Cream. Okay. It was great seeing those guys.
Shout out to THRU too. You know,
put things together and shit.
Shout out to Luke Steffen.
My man, yeah.
It's definitely one thing I learned about that film world is like they're very driven and it's isolated as well. You see, like with rap, that's why I think a lot of the actors, directors, they don't really get the light shine on it because you don't know until it's something. That's why when you're crossing over from music to film or whatever, you're bringing your algorithm to the movie.
Absolutely. What can we expect this summer? You got any particular projects that you're gonna watch?
I'm looking forward to seeing a Him a movie out. We're already working on our second one, Broken Laws. Definitely tackling that. I've been working with Cover from Umbrella Studios. Definitely got a lot of music. I just did Blockwork TV. I'm supposed to be doing Brooklyn Unity
Fest. Shout out to Blockwork.
We was in Coney Island. You know what I mean? We did that. You know what I'm saying? Putting on for the hood. Because a lot of people be getting confused because they see I can rap, but then I be having fun with the young boys. So like they be like, oh, he's stuck over there. And, you know, I'm just one of those guys who's an artist who understands how to, you know, tap into all genres of music.
No doubt. Chamberz, it's been a pleasure to sit down with you, man. At some point, I'm trying to come out there to Coney Island, man.
You definitely got to come out there. It's all love,
see what y'all got going on, man. Again, man, it's always a pleasure to work with people who are proactive, and I've been watching you work for years, man.
Yeah, you know what it is, though? A lot of the times, I think, when they be like, Chamberz, why you wasn't out earlier? Because I spent a lot of time supporting others.
Yeah.
And once I zeroed in what I was doing, and once I understood the game, maybe I did become a little selfish as well, is because I was serious about what I was doing when nobody was like really understanding what I was talking about.
No doubt, bro.
What's up? It's your boy D Chamberz 6'2", no time for the small talk. You know you tapped in at Gully TV. Shout out to my Kings and Warriors, Queens and Warriors. Let's get it.
Unit, you know what I mean? Tripe the God, real shit. Gully TV, my nigga for real.
My guy.
Ah.